Hey chatters, welcome. And if this is the first time to the channel, so excited to have you here. I'm Joe, the CEO of Synaptic Labs. We've helped thousands of learners figure out how to practically implement AI. And we're also the creators of the Professor Synapse prompt, which has over 100,000 uses in the GPT store. Today, I want to help you solve a problem, which is that you might have a presentation or some sort of document that you need some sort of fancy graphic for, but maybe you've been playing with image generators and they just don't do it for you, or you need something that's a little bit more scalable that you know is going to work more or less every time. So I want to teach you a little bit about what's called HTML and CSS so that we can together create these graphics very quickly, then convert them into images so that they can be used in whatever sort of document or presentation that you want. To get us started, I want to direct you towards our flows, which I'll put in the comments. There are little learning modules to do AI enhanced workflows. And you're going to see here in our flows, we have very fancy little things like this banner that's slowly moving, a nice little Professor Synapse scrollable, a little copy code block. And all of these things are not provided by Teachable, which is what we use to host these, our learning management system. In fact, they're all just custom code that we've developed using HTML and CSS. The idea is that you can very easily, especially if you template out, create all kinds of graphics like these that you can use in the future. This is a lot easier if you can actually upload the code into something, but typically you're going to need to convert that into some sort of image to be included in your presentation because you're not going to actually be able to render the code that way. Let's head over to Claude or your LLM of choice and let's figure out how to do this. So step one is most of these large language models now have some sort of canvas mode. In Claude, it's called artifacts. And then I think in Gemini and ChatGPT, it's called canvas. And the great thing about these is that you can have it generate code and have it render it for you so you can see it. So let's get a little meta here. I wanted to show you guys this full process that we're going to go through, and I wanted to create a graphic for it. So I use this fairly simple prompt using the below branding guidelines, create a CSS/HTML process graphic that shows the following in an artifact or canvas, whatever you're using. One, use AI of choice to generate the graphic. That's where we're at now. Second, refine the graphic until it works. So making sure that you like it. We'll see that in a second. Save and open in a browser. Use our converter, which I'll show you, and then put it in your presentation. And then I gave it all of our branding information, so it had that. And the first thing it put together was something that looked like this. Now, this isn't too bad. It has emojis, which I didn't really want. I probably should have said that. It's fairly simple, and I don't like how you can't really tell where step one and step two begins. And so I gave it a little bit of feedback, right? I said, remove the emojis and put everything in their own containers. And again, I'm not coding any of this. The AI is coding it. So this to me was much better. Follows our branding. And we have these nice little cards now, right, that separate out the different steps. So now let's say that this is what you want. This is how you want to move forward with it. Now, depending on what you're using, you might have the easy way, which is you can just download this as an HTML. If we do that, you're going to see it just downloaded that file. If not, you're going to have to open up some sort of text editor. We're going to go through that in a minute and just make sure you have an HTML file. So to do that the more manual way, if you can't just download it as HTML, you're going to want to come to some sort of text editor. I'm going to mention VS Code here because we're going to be using it a little bit later. So definitely go download that if you haven't already. And then you can just do a new file. And we're going to say, let's just do test.html. And this is super important that you do the .html so it knows an HTML file. And then we're just going to paste that code right in here. And then we have our HTML file. Okay, so now we've generated our graphic with AI. We've refined our graphic until it works the way we want it to. Now we want to do a browser test. The way we do a browser test is that we just have to open the file in your browser of choice, and it'll do that automatically. So let's go find the file and open it. We can see I'm in my downloads right now, and we have this processgraphic.html. So I'm just going to right click that, and you'll have different options, but you just want to open it with a browser. So I'll open it with Comet right now. You might get a message like this, and then you'll see it actually opened in the browser. Now, what you're going to notice is this looks a little bit different than what I had in Claude, right? This is vertically stacked. This is horizontally stacked. This is why you want to open it in the browser. Very often when we're writing something in HTML or CSS, it makes it so that it will scale with your screen. So that if you make it smaller or larger, it'll either have it horizontal if it has enough space, or it'll stack it vertically if it doesn't have enough space. So I'm fine with this being horizontal, but for example, if you want it to always be vertical, make sure you're opening this up so you see what it actually looks like, and then go back to the AI and say it must be vertical, or make it so it doesn't scale, it always has to look this way. Okay, so we have finished our browser test. Now let's move on to converting it to a PNG. So a PNG is just a image file that we want to convert it to that scales pretty well. You can always just Google HTML to PNG. There are free resources you can get, but maybe you don't want to be sharing these things online. You'd rather have it local. So I've put together some code for you so that you're actually able to convert all this locally in your browser. Before we get into this, again, you want to make sure that you have VS Code downloaded as well as Node.js. I will put links in the comments so that you can actually figure out how to do that. If you don't do those two things, this is not going to work. But once you get it working, you'll be able to do all these conversions locally on your computer. So let's head over to VS Code and check this out. We got to go find the repository where this code lives. It is open source. I will put that link in the description, and then you're going to come to this website. Once you're here, there's instructions on how to use it, but let's walk through it. First, we want to hit this little code button here, the drop down, and we want to grab this web address. We're going to copy that, and then we're going to come over to VS Code to actually download it. So we have VS Code open now. You should see something like this. So what you want to do is to clone git repository. You can also come over here and do clone repository, either one, up to you. We're going to hit clone from GitHub, and it's going to ask for us to search for the name, but we're just going to paste in the address that we got from the website and hit enter. And then it's going to ask us where we want to save it. I already have it saved, but just put it in a folder where either you keep all your code or create a new code folder where you have everything, and then select that repository and it will download. Now that you have everything downloaded, you should see some of, but not all of, these files. The first thing we need to do is come to the terminal. To come to the terminal, there's a couple ways to do it. My favorite way is the hotkey, which is Control-Shift-Squiggly, which will bring up this terminal. But you can always come up here to terminal and just hit new terminal, and you can see here's the hotkey. And it'll bring up something that looks like this. It might look a little different. I'm using Linux. Don't worry about it. It'll bring up whatever you need. The first thing you need to do is type the command npm I, or install if you want to do the long way. And we're just going to hit enter. Look at you. You're a hacker now. So what this has done is it's downloaded all the packages that we need to actually run the software. Once you've downloaded all the packages, you're going to know it worked if you see this node modules folder up here, as well as this package-lock.json. Once you have that set up, we need another command, which is npm start. And then once you have that in, we'll click enter, and you're going to see it's starting up, so let's just give it a second to do that. Okay, it's working. You can see we can now upload an HTML or PDF, and you'll see we have this local host. Again, this means it's going to run in your browser, but locally. It's not going out to the internet. So we can control-click this, or if you want to just go to your browser, you can just type in http://localhost3000, and then you'll see this open. It'll look something like this, hopefully. And this is where a typical interface you're going to see. So we can choose our file or click and drag it in, and then we'll convert it. So let's do that. You can see I dragged in the file, and we're going to click our convert to PNG button, and this will take just a second, and you can see it downloaded. So let's go open it up. And there you go. Now we have our PNG of our nice little workflow for getting this down. And now we're on step 5, place in the presentation. I'm not going to walk you through how to do this part. You should probably know. But you just click and drag this image into your slides or your document or whatever it is, and it'll be right there for you. Last, I did add a 6th step for us, which is that once you get comfortable with this, it's time to start creating templates. So you know that there's going to be specific graphics that you want to use over and over again. If this is the case and you want them to all look more or less the same, you want to start creating these templates where it doesn't really matter what the content that is in there. It's just the code in the back end that represents what it's supposed to look like. You can create some of those for things like charts and tables and whatever it might be. And then you save that somewhere, and then you can give that to the AI again with your branding or whatever, and say, I want to make a table that says XYZ, use this as your template. And that way you're not having to create from scratch every single time. You have a portfolio of graphics that you like to use and you know how you want them to look. And then AI is just recoding it, refactoring it with the information you want it to have inside of it. Thanks for listening, chatters. I hope this was helpful. If you're looking to do business, if you want us to build out some of these HTML templates or whatever it might be, definitely reach out and contact us and come to us with any other AI questions you have. I'm excited to see what you all do with this in the comments.